Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Innovation Podcast, your source for all things innovation. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have John Romm on the line, and he's founder and CEO over at Venue Ties. John, welcome to the show.
Adam, thank you for having me.
All right, so I'm excited to get into today's topic. So we're going to talk about Venue Ties, how you're making the experience for venues easier, and we're going to get into some biometrics, the touchless journey inside of large venues. I mean, we got a lot to cover in a little bit of time, so let's just jump right in, John. Tell us more about Venue Ties, please.
Well, I appreciate that, and I do think we have a lot to cover. So Venue Ties is a technology platform that sits below the application layer. So what does that mean and what does it do? That application, obviously, is what the consumer is used to seeing. So that's the storefront, if you will, and how it shows up on your mobile device. But behind it, on the back-end side, there's a lot of significant technological work being done. And for us, we focus on basically four major areas, one of which is deep-level integrations between all the technologies to make sure they're working well together. The second area that we focus on is personalization, so we know who the consumer is and what's important to know about them to make their journey and what they're doing in those larger spaces more attractive and easier to accomplish. And then the third area of it is contextual awareness, so we know where they are and when they're in that location. How do we make their experience a better experience? And then, of course, the fourth area is the commerce platform. So by learning all the information we do from each one of the micro libraries, we create a master library that makes recommendation, artificial intelligence, and drives commerce. So let me stop there and make sure that makes sense to you.
No, I love it, and it makes sense because you're hitting this from many different areas. And what do you find is kind of some of the competitive advantage that Venue Ties has in helping these different marketplaces or venues, I should say?
Well, I'd like to think that there's several areas of advantage. One of which is, as we discussed, those deep level of integrations. I think we're fully integrated at the deepest level with over 176 different companies today. So, of course, that's expertise, that's professionalism, and that's also time, right, and what it takes, and then structuring the business relationship. So, it's related to ticketing and parking and proximity marketing, food, beverage, loyalty, et cetera. So all those things, I think, is an area of advantage. I think, another area of advantage is today we're operating in, 63 plus venues. And so, that's a significant portion of the industry working with 7 major professional sports leagues. And so, we've created a market share advantage, we believe. And then lastly, at this stage where we are in the business, albeit the technology has the capability to span across many other vertical markets, today we are servicing not only, sports and entertainment, but we're also supporting gamification and casinos and sports books. And so we believe we're the right kind of platform and partner for that next generation of day of betting and how to bring together, fantasy and sports books tied together to that lean forward, immersive viewing of sporting events.
Man, that is so exciting, and I'm just a fan of where this is heading with the immersive technology and gamification. Not asking you to have your crystal ball, but I do know that you do have, based on the venues you work with, the quantity, how long you've been in this in this industry. I know you do have a unique vantage point. Where do you think this goes to next in terms of fan and or just attendee experience when it comes to this immersive technology side of things?
Well, I do have an opinion, and I thank you for expressing that. So I believe that for the large grouping of us, if you will, who have been executives driving contribution and distribution of media for the last 30 plus years of my career. I think that for the longest time, we were incredibly focused on how do we make the experience in the living room a better experience. And so everything went into, the traditional methodology of how to deal with cable companies, how to deal with telcos, how to deal with over-the-top providers, what do we do with the set-top, and how do we make the experience in the living room better. And I think what you're going to see now is this is going to flip itself on its head. And these larger venues, downtown district areas, hospitality and gaming locations, I think they're going to be an adult amusement park, okay? And I believe that the days of going to sporting events and sitting there and crossing your legs and watching the event, I think are going to change enormously. And I think people are going to start viewing events by, is the next pitch a curveball or is it a fastball, or who gets the next dunk, or who's going to get the next goal? Is the next play a pass play, a running play? It's all going to be behavior that keeps people leaning forward, focused and immersed. And if you're 21 and older, you have the ability to, either bet or to do it in some sort of loyalty platform that you're getting loyalty points for food, beverage, merchandise, next level tickets, whatever else it may be. And then, of course, if you're 21 and under, you're only doing it for loyalty points.
Man, you got me all excited right now, John. I'm like, I want in. How do I fast forward my life to get to that part? Because that sounds fun. I'm in. And I love your insight on there because, all this really boils down to is you're creating a better experience for the fan, right?
Well, I hope so. That's certainly what we started out to do. And, I think, always the wild card in technology is the timing mechanism of shaking up what the historical constant has been before, okay? And so we've got to get to the point where, traditional broadcast delivery gets shook up a little bit and it's more interactive. And we introduce an augmentation to broadcast with unicast services. And those unicast services are creating clips and video services and audio portions that are related to your fantasy team or whatever your gaming is. It's giving you a local community feel for it. So, where the younger generations today are using the functionality of their phones to find their friend, this is giving them the ability to game together and to be immersed together, but to know you're in the same venue or the same district and all of the jocularity that comes with it.
Man, I love it. That's great. And this whole gamification thing, I can't overstate it. It's just what people want. It's what I want. So that's what I always look at. I've been telling me and my co-founder have been having discussions. We're like, how do we gamify this podcast? Like, I'm sure we can. We've been having talks and thinking about it. And okay, do we add the streaming to it? Do we not add streaming? Add some video, other things. And we're just like, man, we gotta keep on pushing the envelope on what people want and keeping them engaged, and just making it more and more fun and more interesting. And I see that happening across the board. And having you say that, because you've been in this business a long time, I'm going to make my other co-founder listen to this. See, I told you we need to gamify everything.
Well, it's funny you say, because the way you give your co-founder their plug, I'm going to do the same for mine, because my co-founder, she grounds me all the time. And she says to me, John, I get it. I know where you're going. I know what you're doing. But without the building blocks and the foundation of the platform, all the things that you're telling me are going to come in 18 to 24 months, they don't come unless we do this. And she's been right. So, when you get to a point where you're able to do those deep level integrations, you keep the platform where it is, you get yourself embedded in, these, districts that have become these larger, areas to go and have entertainment. And, oh, by the way, there's a game also at the venue. That's when you get to leverage off of it and figure out what your next generation of products and services are.
Man, that's exciting. So, John, that being said, if somebody's listening to this and they want more information on Venuetize, what's the best way for them to reach out and them to learn more?
Well, like most companies, if not all, we have a website, and on the website, which is www.venuetize.com, and Venuetize is spelled BENUETIZE.com. There's a way to contact us and get in touch. One thing I think is, potentially important is to understand all the technology and services that we do, we actually white label in the name of the team or the venue or the event or the district. And so while you may not find our name in everyday lifestyle as a consumer, okay, through most of the teams, the venues, the leagues, and all the rest, we're embedded in there somewhere.
Fantastic. Well, John, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about all the great work that you're doing over at Venue Ties. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Innovation, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments on the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And John, thanks again for coming on the show.
Adam, thank you kindly. Bye-bye.